Let's start with the breaking news on the sense of where teams are heading, and that is Stephen Vogt and Craig Counsell are on the moves. Stephen Vogt is actually going to be making his managerial debut for the Cleveland Guardians, but Craig Counsell, Zach, is jumping from one rival to another.
Yeah, crazy. Going from the Brewers, where we were talking before, he's been there since 2015, which honestly seems insane. I didn't realize he was there that long. But then to just go to your rival it's interesting. For those who don't know the rivalry between Brewers and Cubs, it's honestly like if Brandon Hyde decided to go become the Rays manager. Like, this will not sit well with Brewers fans, but it will make a great headline for when the Cubs and Brewers play.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, the Brewers still had to give permission for Craig Counsell to. What was his contract up there? Do we remember?
It was expiring.
It was expiring.
But they wanted him back, from what I believe. At least what I heard in the playoffs was they were still looking to bring him back. And I guess so were the Cubs.
Yeah. And I mean, his name was the one that was tied to the Mets initially, but instead he goes right into a division rival. Cubs had a good year, right on the cusp. David Ross out, Craig Counsell in, and then Stephen Vogt. How about that? He's a likable guy, former catcher, just retired. Now he's taking over for Terry Francona.
Yeah, his last at bat, actually, his kids announced him on the PA system, and he hit a home run. So, I mean, what a way to end a career, and now he just starts a new one.
What more could you ask for? Well, hey, the Mets did make a decision, by the way. They're going, the sources, as we love the term sources, Mets are hiring Yankees coach Carlos Mendoza as their new manager. We'll figure out what happens there. And that's not the only baseball news. Rock, I believe there are some finalists that got announced and maybe some surprises for the AL Cy Young.
I would say, as far as the AL Cy Young award goes, many, especially here in Birdland, thought that Kyle Bradish was going to be a finalist, and his numbers showed. He had one of the best ERAs in all of baseball, and he was the ace of the number one seed in the American League, one of the best teams in baseball. So kind of a no-brainer with the numbers he had to name him as one of three finalists. But
you just had to be three. Just be one of the three.
One of three, that's all. I'm not saying give Kyle Bradish the award. I'm not saying he was going to win the award, but to beat the drum, to make him a finalist, we were definitely doing that here. A lot of people, I feel like in the baseball world, were doing that. But Kyle Bradish, just straight highway robbery. Garrett Cole is a no-brainer to have in there.
Yep.
Then you have Kevin Gausman, who is a former Oriole, and then you have Sonny Gray. Numbers-wise, Bradish 12-7, 2.83 ERA, 168 Ks. Sonny Gray 8-8, 2.79 ERA, 183 Ks, and then you have Gausman with 12-9, 3.16 ERA, 237 Ks. If you guys could take one player off of that list and replace them with Kyle Bradish, I want to ask you, who would it be? Because Bradish definitely deserves to be there. He's not there, unfortunately. It is what it is, but he definitely should be.
I hate taking people off of this. Can't we just expand it to 4? But if it's going to be, I think that Garrett Cole's got to be on there. I think Gausman, because of his stuff, I would say him, and so it would probably be Sonny Gray in that case. And he had a tremendous year.
But you look at the record, Rip, and it's like, does 8-8 get you a Cy Young Award finalist? Like, should you be put on that list? I get like the 2.79 ERA, 183 Ks, but 8-8, just, I mean, that's kind of like very mediocre record-wise.
Yeah, I just can't sit here and, like you said, I know people are weirdly trying to move away from wins being like an important stat. And I get that to a point. But like you said, 8-8 doesn't scream Cy Young contender.
Doesn't move the needle for you?
Doesn't move the needle at all, especially when we have Kyle Bradish sitting here at 12-7. Now, if Kyle Bradish was, 9-8, 10-7, I understand that.
Or like had a +3 ERA.
Yeah,
fair.
but
right,
it's almost like they were looking for a reason to put a bigger name out there.
Yeah.
I think that's what it comes down to is Sonny Gray, Kevin Gausman, Garrett Cole are 3 household names that put people in the stands that people want to see. And so they're not going to give it to the newcomer riser.
No, not right off the bat. And you talk about the wins. Baseball writers might be thinking about, okay, wins may not matter because your offense has to go out and produce. Like if you go out and give out 2 runs and you lose 2-0, I don't think that's on the pitcher necessarily, even a 3-0 loss. But for Kyle Bradish to not be in consideration, I mean, gets an honorable mention, a nice pat on the back. But that stinks for the guy, because to do what he did this season and to have the second half, especially that he had post All-Star break, he was absolutely dealing. He was one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Yeah. I we had him on here, Brad, not Brad behind the desk over there, but kind of Brad is Bradish's Instagram handle. He had 7 straight starts to 2 earned runs or less starting from June 25th on. And I think he only had 2 starts the rest of the way where he allowed 3 earned runs or more. It was tremendous. Should we get him back on here and ask how he feels about being snubbed on there? I think he should
say exactly how he feels.
Yeah. Don't hold anything back.
Not a single thing.
Yep. Exactly.
I got robbed.
Yeah. That's all the clip we need. Yeah.
Well, hey, I'll tell you this. Bradish, I do think the best is yet to come. I think what's frustrating is the sense that you want to see guys have the opportunity to be rewarded for their great years, but the reality is it's not always going to turn out that way. All 3 of those pitchers deserve it, but Kyle Bradish was on the number 1 team in the American League. He was the top pitcher in that rotation. That in itself should get you in the discussion. That's no knock to anybody else, but he earned the right for that. But I do think he's going to have a chance to be right in that group for next year. But Rocco, weren't there some other finalists named in the managerial?
I'm sorry.
If I'm not mistaken.
I got so angry.
Yeah, we kind of got.
My blood is boiling right now.
Is it?
Kyle Bradish is in an AL Cy Young Award finalist.
So
about everybody else.
Yeah,
just like throw it all out the window. All right, O's fans, you can be happy with this one. Gunnar Henderson, 2023 AL Rookie of the Year award finalist. Tanner Bibby and Tristan Casas are also finalists for the award. And then you go to the AL Manager of the Year award. These were 2 givens. We knew that both of these guys were going to be finalists for the awards, and both of these guys should win their respective awards. That's Brandon Hyde, Gunnar Henderson. Hyde, he's a finalist with Bruce Bochy and Kevin Cash. Bochy of the Rangers, Cash of the Rays. So
I don't know. Like, I feel like, look, as much as I love Brandon Hyde, like, I feel like there is a case to be made for Bochy, because the Rangers were just as terrible 2 years ago.
I think it should go to Hyde. Here's why. The Rangers had a bigger payroll. They had bigger names, bigger superstars. And Bochy's been there before, been there, done that.
Right.
For Hyde, you look at a guy that he was down in the dirt.
Yeah.
And to bring this team, this franchise out post-rebuild to where they want to be.
Sure.
I mean, the Orioles want to take it a step further, but this is gold right now in the making. And for Hyde to be there, I think he's more than deserving of the award this year. But I get your case for Bochy. I really do. If postseason factored in, he's the winner of this award. It's plain and simple.
Yeah. I think that is the biggest thing, is if this was voted on before the postseason, I think it's Hyde by a landslide. I think if it creeped into the postseason, it could get interesting. Yep. Also, can we just get Hyder was robbed last year of it. I think people could say, so if we go back-to-back years, I mean, we're already dealing with Bradish right now. The anger will go to a different level. But the one thing I am as confident as ever is we can remove finalists from it. Gunnar Henderson's going to be Rookie of the Year. All I needed to see was he did officially make the finalists, and it's over. I think it's a done deal.
It's been over. And Josh Young's a great player, by the way, but his injury opened up that door. But Gunnar was already banging at the door there, and then he took a sledgehammer and just knocked it right down. I mean, the dude, I really would have been curious, because I would have loved to see that race. I love that competition. I love seeing it out there. How are these 2 guys going to compete down the stretch? Young was unbelievable before he went down, but then Gunnar Henderson, it was little by little, he was getting better. Then he had that ridiculous month, and then it was just Gunnar coming up in big moments. Then you look up and you go, holy shirts and pants, this dude's around 30 home runs. He's playing multiple positions, and now the Orioles are the best team in the American League.
Yeah.
And he was a huge part of that. So I think for Gunnar Henderson, I think it's a lock with Josh Young going down. I hope you guys listened to my advice earlier in the year when his odds dropped into I think it dropped plus 1,000 in odds.
Oh, it was like plus 2,200.
If you're into that type of thing, I hope you listen to it. I'm learning baseball as I go, but that was one I just took a guess on, and I saw him a little bit. Now for Brandon Hyde, similar testament. You guys just alluded to it. The dude went through the dog days with this organization. I got to see it firsthand in the system where it stunk, where it was a great place for opportunity for guys, but losing messes with your mind. That shit is never fun. And when people talk about that winning can change everything, it truly can. And for this Orioles team, the beauty of it was Hyde got to see this through. Not only see it through, he did something that the Orioles hadn't been able to do in a while. Win 100 games, win the American League East, and I do think that they're going to continue to get better. So we'll find out.